Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today if you missed our Monday's Zoom meeting. We are excitedly starting chapter 5 called The Ring of Fire. Now, this is going to be kind of a continuation of chapter 4 about volcanoes because it talks a little bit more about underwater volcanoes. And then it also talks about more specific kinds of eruptions that we've had in the past. So after I read today, I have a fun questions too, for you to answer, as well as a little drawing activity to go along with it. So here we go. We have the Ring of Fire with our picture here of where the Ring of Fire is located. Now, we are in North America up here, so it's all the way across on the other side of our country, which is where some of the Ring of Fire is, which is where most volcanoes are located. So, let's read about it. Here we go. I'm also cozy with my sweatshirt today because it's a little chilly out. The Pacific Ocean covers almost half the Earth. Most tsunamis, volcanoes, and earthquakes occur in or near the Pacific Ocean. In fact, 90% of all earthquakes take place in the Pacific. They happen in an area called the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is a huge semicircle that runs along the edges of the Pacific Plate. Now, a semicircle is half of a circle, and you can kind of see that this is, if it were going to continue all the way, this is about half of the circle here. And I'm going to go back to our chapter where it talked about all of the plates. So the Pacific Plate continues here and all the way over here, because it's connected, but if it's laid flat, it's not. So that's where the Ring of Fire is, where most tsunamis, earthquakes, and volcanoes occur. Our sidebar here with Jack says, Japan is in the Ring of Fire and has more than 186 volcanoes. Whoa, that's a lot. The Pacific Plate is a large plate under the ocean that is expanding. That means getting larger. It borders many other plates. The plates often push into one another or pull apart. These movements cause most of the earthquakes and volcanoes in the Pacific. And we talked about again in chapter 2 about the 3 different movements of the plates here. Now, let's talk about underwater volcanoes with our subheading here. So not only are there volcanoes on land, but there are a lot of volcanoes underwater. There are thousands of underwater volcanoes in the Ring of Fire. Scientists recently began exploring these volcanoes using underwater robots and small research submarines. Those are like tiny boats, covered boats that can go underwater. Underwater volcanoes can be tall mountains or openings on the seabed, which is the ocean floor, where lava oozes out onto the ocean floor. Sometimes metals erupt from the volcano. Instead of mountains, this creates tall chimney-like structures. The hottest are called black smokers because the metals that form them are dark. The water is very warm around these openings. Scientists have discovered interesting sea life around the underwater vents of black smokers. So if you look here, there is a really cool photo of giant tube worms, which live in 176 degree water around vents. That's only 36 degrees below boiling. So I'm going to attach a video. Now in our Zoom meeting today, I showed some of the kiddos a little bit of that video that gives more description of these tube worms. They are white but then this part is actually red, like bright red. And the scientist is going to talk about how these tube worms are able to live on the ocean floor. The ocean floor is extremely cold, and the worms live around the volcano because it's very warm there too, so that helps them. But they're very interesting creatures, so if you'd like to look at that video, I highly suggest it. All right, our next one, I'm going to show you a picture of, this is pillow lava. And it's formed by hot magma streaming from a vent in the ocean floor. So, like Miss Candarin just said, lava that comes out of a volcano underwater is extremely hot, but the water in the ocean is very cold. So, it almost instantly cools the lava, and it creates these pillow-like rocks almost. Sometimes underwater volcanoes grow up past the surface of the ocean. This creates chains of volcanic islands. Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines are almost all volcanic chains. So that means there's just more than one island next to each other. So the Hawaiian Islands are actually made from underwater volcanoes that have grown and grown and grown over years and years and years, and finally they reach the surface of the ocean and create land. Wow, that is so cool. Mauna Loa in Hawaii is the largest underwater volcano in the world. And we read about that in our chapter before. Mauna Loa is a kind of shield volcano. It rises about 6 miles from the seafloor and is about 72 miles wide. The Ring of Fire has produced volcanoes and earthquakes for thousands of years. Natural disasters in the past have caused big changes in the way the Earth looks today. And here we have Annie with our sidebar that says Mauna Loa first erupted over 80,000 years ago. And this says, turn the page to learn more about famous ancient disasters, which we will start on Wednesday. So that was really interesting what we read about today. And I'm going to attach some links, especially to the one about the tube worms, which are fascinating to me that they can live so deep underwater, and many other creatures as well. So I tied that into our question today. You're going to be using a little bit of your creativity, which you know Miss Candarin loves so much. So we have 2 questions here. If you could go in a submarine and explore the bottom of the ocean, how would you feel? So that's the first question. And what types of creatures do you think you would see? So I have a piece of paper here that you could use, and I wrote some sentence starters for you. So the first one, if I could go on a submarine and explore the bottom of the ocean, I would feel blank because, so tell me, how would you feel? If you were able to go on a submarine and go down to the bottom of the ocean, how would that make you feel and why? And then the second question, I think the types of creatures I would see would be, and just name a few. They could be ones that you've even seen in the video as well if you watch that. And then I want you to draw a picture of what you think the bottom of the ocean looks like. So you have to use, again, a little bit of your creativity. So I want to remind you that in 2 weeks, I'm going to do another raffle and pull a few more students' names from a hat. So remember to send me pictures of the activities that you're doing so I can keep track. And the more activities that you do, the better, the more your name goes in the hat, and the better chance that you'll get of me pulling your name out. Now, I know this does have 2 questions, but I'm only counting this as 1 activity for today. But again, if you haven't watched my videos yet, no problem. Go back and watch them and do the activities. Maybe one a day, maybe two a day. They don't take very long. So I can't wait to see your responses, and I will see you guys later. Have a great Monday. Bye.